Oh, I do the introductions. Hello and welcome to Daddy Issues, the podcast where we talk about father and son relationships in popular culture. My name is Dominic Archer, and with me in person for the first time in so long, it's David Bryan. Hello, David.
Hi, Dom. Welcome to my kitchen.
You know what? It is a lot nicer than just staring at my bedroom wall while we do this, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You've got a picture of a baby up there. Is it your baby?
That's not a baby. That's my cousin's baby.
So yeah, okay. You've got some hats that I don't know if you could really get away with wearing them. The straw one in summer you could get away with, but
Yes.
the other one, it's the kind of hat that you only wear if you're a jazz douche.
It's a bit of a jazz. It's like to me, it's like a summery festival guy wearing a vest and shorts that are too short
Yes.
kind of guy.
Yes.
Probably taking ketamine.
Yes.
But I've had the hat for a long time, so for now it'll just adorn the wall and have a nice little two-piece with my two summer hats.
Yeah. You've got a nice selection of empty alcohol, but not in kind of like a college like celebratory way of, oh, look how much I've drank. But it's more of like they're much more interesting and an international selection of alcohol that you've got going on.
Exactly, yeah. Their memories are attached as opposed to memories lost.
Yeah,
As a result.
That's very true. So today we're back. It's our first Daddy Issues podcast in a long time. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah, it's our first one of 20... Is it the first one of 2019?
2019.
No, surely not. We had Christmas and with Jingle All the Way, and then Nemo came after that.
Yes. Okay. So so we did Finding Nemo.
Okay.
But
second podcast.
Yeah, but it's close. It has been a long time.
Yeah, we've been delayed.
Yeah.
It's been we've had some downtime.
And it has been down without you in my arms.
Yeah, same. I touched his thigh for those who can't see.
It's an audio medium, but they could feel it's tactile in
I think
its
they
own
can
way.
sense there.
Yeah.
The love penetrated the.
And that's not the only thing. So today we are going to talk about father and son relationships in the video games Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, because you have been playing Fallout 4 pretty recently, right?
Yeah. I think I got it fairly soon after it came out, and I don't know how many years ago is that now. That came out in 2015.
Oh,
2015.
Jesus Christ.
And
yeah.
about a month ago, I finished the story.
Okay. Well, as any Awful Commentary subscribers will know, probably, if you are listening to this and you subscribed, the reason you subscribed was because pretty exclusively for about a year, Awful Commentary was only Fallout 4 related things. It was me and the amazing Steve were making lots of character builds. Steve did about 20 years worth of Fallout 4 Let's Plays. There's tons of Fallout 4 content on there. So when you were saying about it, and I was like, oh, it's a father-son relationship.
There you go.
I've
really played into your well of experience and expertise.
It is a niche that you have managed to fill quite nicely.
Yeah, and of course that's when I became a fan of the channel, was through the Fallout 4.
Not through our friendship?
Well...
Oh, no, let's not go any further down this alley or we're going to be in real trouble. But we're back. We're together. I'm in the UK. I'm wearing my podcast recording hat.
Oh, yeah.
I've now
it's
got.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. My girlfriend isn't going to listen to this.
Is she not going to listen to it?
No.
It is a gift for her.
It is a gift for her, yeah. But she never listens to any of this shit because she is wonderful.
She has a life.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a lovely pink hat of a smiling cat with cat ears on it. And my God, I am masculine.
I'm not sure you'll ever give it over to her now.
You know what? I think I'm going to keep it.
I think you're owning it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Especially if you still got the label on the top and everything.
Yeah, just in case I want to return it for some
gangster.
reason. Thank you. But let's get into the desolate world of Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 and decide if dads ever changes.
Well, I applaud that effort.
Thank you. I tried real hard. Really tried to force that one.
It was a bit of a forceful entry, but I relaxed and accepted it.
This is getting real weird real fast in here. I like this energy. So, Fallout 4, we should probably do first, because it's the more recent one that both of us have played. Obviously, Fallout 3 is when did that come out? 2008?
2008, yeah.
2008. Christ, that's 11 years ago.
But I probably played that one more than I ever played Fallout 4.
Well, then let's forget about Fallout 4 then. Let's dive back in time.
Backwards in time, 10 years plus.
And then we have to. Can you do the Doctor Who theme?
No, I didn't know Doctor Who theme.
Okay. I'll do the drum bits. The drum bits are like.
Oh yeah, and there's like some weird like whistly bit.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
It's like Nevermind the Buzzcocks.
Yeah. Okay, we've gone back in time. That was us going back in time. It's 2008. Oh, I'm 17. I've just lost my virginity. Mum also doesn't listen to this, so it's okay. What else happened in 2008? Obama has just been elected president of the United States, and I'm really hopeful that identity politics is now being put to rest and is never going to resurface.
Oh, well,
yeah,
it should. It felt like it probably did, right?
Yeah,
it should have done. Surely, that's so.
That was it.
Isn't this the year where England didn't qualify for the European Championships? Is that the 2008?
Yes. I'm going to say yes, it is.
Talking about things I remember from 2008.
That's definitely right. Let's go to university or something. Oh, that's 2009, isn't it?
That was 2009, yeah, because 2008 is when...
You lost your virginity, even though you're 5 years older than me.
I'm afraid that was probably a bit before then.
Oh, damn it.
I was 17, so that was 2004.
God, you're old.
I know.
I don't think I even had any pubes then.
You don't have any pubes now.
No. Well, that's because I shave. I'm neat. I'm well maintained.
You are very well maintained. That's
Thank
true.
you. Thank you.
You showered in my house today. I know.
Man, I'll tell you what. My brother doesn't listen to this either, so it's fine. The worst thing about my brother coming home, because he's at university and I've been away.
Yeah.
So he's come back home, and we've all been in the family house, and then like. Everything is clean, and then he'll come home, and then suddenly there's just fucking shaved hair everywhere. And it's the worst because it's not like shaved over the sink, like where he's been looking in the mirror to shave it. It's just like around the edge of the toilet, which means he's definitely shaving body hair. But he's like
on the toilet. Is he like sat taking a shit and shaving his beard?
No. I think he's like leaning over the toilet to shave his body hair into the toilet. Right?
That's odd.
Yeah, but I know that he shaves all of his body hair. He like
Sean.
Not Sean from Fallout 4.
Sean from Fallout 4. Is he Sean like
the sheep?
What do they call it from Austin Powers? A ritualistically Sean scrotum.
Yes. Yeah, I think he just shaves all of his body hair for some reason.
Well, he's an athlete, right?
Yeah, well,
it's for aerodynamic purposes.
Yeah, that may be like Lance Armstrong.
Or what's the swimmer guy? The guy, you know, the guy who's like
Phelps?
faster than a dolphin. What's his name?
Phelps.
Michael Phelps, yeah.
But didn't they find out he definitely wasn't faster than a dolphin?
Probably
Wasn't
not.
that the test? Was they got him to race a shark, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it turns out an animal that lives in water and evolved in water is faster than a
faster in water, yeah. Like when they got Usain Bolt to race a cheetah.
Because, you know.
These are the tests we have to carry out.
You couldn't just compare the average speed of a cheetah to the average speed of Usain Bolt and go, nope, cheetah's faster.
You have to put them on the same track and somehow get them to go at the same time.
How do you motivate them both equally?
Yeah, to run their fastest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you, like, for scientific accuracy, do you just have to... do you only feed Usain Bolt antelope for like a month?
And you have to make them hunt it too.
Well, yeah.
To chase it. And then you just release an antelope and see who gets it first.
And that's who gets it first.
Yeah.
Cheetah. It turns out.
Cheetah,
Yeah. That's also how they did the shark and Phelps.
Yeah.
They just released a tuna.
Well, I imagine the shark would be nimbler and could turn.
Yeah.
Phelps is fast in a straight line, I'm sure, but...
You think?
Not faster, but he's at his quickest in a straight line.
That is undeniably true.
You know, because there are certain birds of prey
Yeah.
that can fly in a straight line at like 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But there are smaller birds of prey that can, like sparrowhawks, that can fly within trees and in bushes and stuff. They're so nimble they can still fly at like 30 miles an hour through obstacles, which is like impressive.
They're the Phelps of birds. No, they're not the Phelps of birds. They're the sharks.
They're the
of
sharks
birds.
of birds.
This is going nowhere.
This is a weird tangent.
And I love it. All right. So Fallout 3 is oh yeah. It's 2008.
It's 2008.
Okay. This is the liberating thing when your podcast only gets 20 listens. Right? If we got like 200,000 people listening to this, we'd have to delete it all and start again.
I don't know. I think this is the best one we've ever done.
Yeah, me too. So, all right, it's 2008.
Yes.
I have an Xbox 360.
As do I.
Yeah. Fallout 3 has just come out. What are your thoughts on the game? And do you have some tissue because I'm crying?
You're crying with laughter. Yeah. So I actually remember playing the first two Fallout games on the PC. I don't remember where I got them. I probably had borrowed them from somebody or something. But I was never really so much of a completionist gamer like I am now. And I probably played until I got bored, which is probably a few hours.
Yeah.
So I think I probably played the opening story 3 or 4 times. Never got very far until it started to get difficult. Then I probably just gave up because that was when did the first one come out? Like 97.
Oh, it's old school.
Yeah. So I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I probably didn't play it immediately. I probably would have played them around 12, 13 when my attention span was poor.
Yeah. So I think my first experience of Fallout was definitely Fallout 3, but Oblivion, The Elder Scrolls, came out a couple of years before that, I think, because that was the game that me and Steve really played to death.
Really?
We played that game a lot. And so it's the same, made by Bethesda, it's that same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they're very much, now I feel like they were very much of their time. They really, one of the reasons I think Fallout 4 hasn't worked as well is because they never upgraded very much from those games.
Right.
And how much progression has there been since Skyrim? Not that much. There's been some changes they've made, but yeah, for me, Oblivion and Fallout 3 were really kind of like, these were the games. There was no other game I wanted to play except for them when they came out. And I think the story and the world was a big part of that because it was like prime time post-apocalyptic fiction, right?
Yeah, that was the time to be making this.
Yeah, absolutely. Like everything was either a zombie or a nuclear bomb. And yeah, it was really just the perfect game for its time. The gameplay was great for what it was.
Yeah, the expanse of it appealed to you as well, the way you could play it for hundreds of hours.
Yeah, totally.
And still exploring new
Yeah. And the best thing about it was you're a child trying to find your father, and your dad is Liam Neeson, which at the time was amazing.
He was still cool then.
And now is a little bit like for context, this is recorded a month or two after Liam Neeson made some comments that did not go down particularly well.
Didn't he say like after?
Yes, he did, Dave. That is exactly what he said.
But even if you go back a bit further than that, the last 3 or 4 years of all the Liam Neeson culture or touchstones have been pretty poor films.
Yeah.
And weird choices in the films that he chooses to be in.
Yeah.
I think he did like one, that sort of Scorsese movie where he played a monk, Silence, whatever it was, where that's like a proper drama.
All right.
Where he got to, but then other than that, like 9 out of the last 10 of his films have been bad.
Yeah.
Bad action thrillers. So
yeah,
this predates that.
Yeah. So Liam Neeson is an interesting actor for the roles that he chooses. Because one of the things I specifically remember was working at a school, one of the schools I worked at, and all of the teachers were about 10 years older than me. But they were all bored as shit. So one of the things we would do is we would just sit around and go, right, if you were to take an actor and combine all of their roles, who would be the most powerful actor?
Powerful, like physically?
Yes.
Okay.
By combining all of their different roles together, who would be the most powerful? And it almost always came out as a Liam Neeson. Because, you know, he's been Zeus, and he's Qui-Gon Jinn, he was a Jedi, he was in Taken, he did all the martial arts stuff. Like, Liam Neeson has been like so many badass roles that he's like the most powerful actor.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That would take some real thought to come up with anything.
Oh, and he was Aslan.
Aslan
the lion. And Aslan the lion is a metaphor standing for God.
Yeah.
So there again, he's like God times 2. If God was a lion. Okay, but in Fallout 3...
At least that's what C.S. Lewis thought.
Yeah. Do you reckon that's what it was? You just sat around and like, I've got this wardrobe.
That's how we started the whole thing.
So I've got a wardrobe, and I guess I could. That's which kind of rhymes with, it's an alliteration, but I don't know. It's just missing something.
And there's a war going on.
Yeah.
And I want to try and sort of step away from that and make something that's like
something a bit wild,
fluffy.
Yeah. The wild witch in the world. No. Okay, so we're Liam Neeson's our dad.
Yes.
It's Fallout 3, so it's Washington DC based.
Yeah.
You're in Vault 101. You've been raised in the vault.
Yeah, and this is how many games, other games, do you remember getting playable levels, quote unquote, as a baby? Like crawling around and controlling your character in the first person as a baby. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Like when the first playthrough I did, when I just created my character and then it goes, boom, you're a baby. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird. I can't remember how long it lasted for. I'm sure that's a little ploy that couldn't last too long.
Yeah, but it's kind of an interesting start off to the game because it establishes the relationship with you and your father because you see your father through your entire childhood, which is really interesting and one thing that they didn't try and do again in Fallout 4. But your mother dies in childbirth, and I think your father is the doctor that cuts you out. So sucks to be him.
Yeah, is that whole we can't save her kind of
Yeah. So you get raised by your father, and then on your 16th birthday or something, when you become an adult now, you're ready to live in your vault. Some shit goes down and your dad leaves. Then you basically just have to go and find your dad, find out what happened. Why did he leave? What's going on?
Yeah, you want to believe that Liam Neeson left for the right reasons.
Yeah, and that's a big part of the game. Really, is why did your dad do what he did? There's mysteries surrounding everything. Who even is he as well? It seems like maybe he didn't always come from the vault. Maybe he entered the vault earlier on, which is nobody does that. So yeah, it's a big mystery. The whole game is about trying to find your dad, and then when you do find him, trying to kind of continue his legacy.
Yeah, because in there he did leave for altruistic reasons to save humanity.
Yeah, to save the wasteland.
Save the wasteland,
Yeah. So you played the game through. What are your memories of that story, I guess, of your experience in the world? Because you say the main story is about trying to find your father, but the entire experience you have playing in the wasteland is through that lens, right?
Yeah. I think the one thing that Bethesda does great is how expansive the world is and how you can go off on all these different tangents and learn new things about your environment through other characters and side quests and stuff. But I don't know if that's just me, but I find them very distracting from the main story. I want to explore and learn new things and level up my character more, and I will do a couple of story missions, but then I'll take time away from that to go off and do side quests to get cool shit and whatever the draw is for that particular quest. So I find that I forget the story mission, and when I go back to do a story mission, I'm having to remind myself what I'm doing.
Right.
And I get very much lost in the conceit of the game, which is apocalyptic wasteland, kill or be killed, cool guns, monsters, and there is this element of role playing, which is what attractive to everyone who likes role playing games, is you get to mold your character the way you want and develop him or her in the direction you want to. Yes. So in terms of the story, I think I probably kept coming back to it, going, "Oh yeah, the dad thing."
Yes. Okay.
But again, I think because the era it came out in, the time it came out in, and who I was as a gamer then, I probably wasn't paying all that much attention. It was just, I was playing it for the gratification of the gameplay, not so much for the story. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a negative comment on the story, that it was poor, it was unengaging. I just think I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that kind of interpretation of Fallout 3 works again because you are a child trying to find your father. But there's not a real sense of urgency within that story.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, my dad's out there in the world, but this is the first time you have ever been out in the world. Yeah. The first time you've ever left the vault. So the story is as much a voyage of a young adult finding the world for the first time and realizing, oh shit, this world is awful. As it is, a son it's a transition into adulthood, almost like the entire game, and what it's going to take to survive, as you were saying, as an adult in this world.
I suppose you do go out in a very got sort of a very immature point of view of going, my daddy is the focus of my existence, he's who I'm following. And then maybe through exploring the world and doing side quests and whatnot, you learn more about the world, and your character and you as the player become more of your own person.
Yeah.
And make your own opinions and decide what you want to do and how you want to do it.
Yeah, and that's really shown off in like the karma system that's in Fallout 3 as well.
Yeah.
When you leave the vault, your karma is essentially neutral because you've had no options to be a good or bad person.
I think you do, don't you? There's like those tunnel snake guys in the vault, and you can decide whether to talk them out of being dicks or beat the shit out of them.
But that's kind of like your chance to like experience karma on a minute level, right? Yeah. And then you leave the vault, and then it's like, would you like to blow up this entire town? And you're like, yes. And then you boom.
Yeah. Or like with most of these morality games, I did it with Fallout, with Fable as well.
Yeah.
Is the first playthrough I play fairly on the good side of neutral.
Yeah.
And if I don't want to do something, even if it will give me positive karma points, I still won't do it.
Yeah.
But then you do the second playthrough where you intentionally do everything like a dick.
Yes. Yeah.
And you do blow up Megaton, and you do just murder people and steal shit from people.
Yeah.
Just because
you can.
And it makes the game so much easier and kind of more fun.
Yeah.
Because there's a very simple solution to all the problems, which is just murdering. And because you've been doing it since the very beginning out of choice, and those things give you more experience points, so you get stronger and more powerful the more evil you are, and it's harder to play as a good person.
Yeah. One of the issues that I have with Fallout 4, transitioning over to that, is that there should be much more of a sense of urgency within that main quest. As a parent, either a mother or a father, but I've generally played as a father. Oh, I did someone as Jessica Jones, which was cool.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, but mostly having played it through as a father is your infant. Okay, we didn't actually say the story for Fallout 4. It's a few days. No, it's the day that the bombs drop.
Yeah.
So we're in the past, pre-Fallout of any kind.
In this weird kind of quasi-past present where nuclear technology has been embraced by the culture, but even though like the style of everything still looks very much like the 1950s, but the technology is actually slightly more advanced because they've embraced nuclear fission.
Yeah, it's like the year 2077, something like that.
But it's like everything still looks like the 50s.
Yes, yeah, totally. So you're there with your partner, with your baby, and then, oh no, the bombs are dropping because you are an ex-service person. You fought in the war against the Chinese, which is the whole setting for this. You are eligible to go to a vault. So the bombs drop, you go into the vault where you are protected from the explosion of the nuclear blast, and you are cryogenically frozen. You didn't know you were going to be cryogenically frozen. This is part of the vault system. The guys in Fallout called Vault Tech. They run all of the vaults. And actually, all of the vaults aren't there to keep people safe. They are there to perform experiments on their inhabitants.
That happens a lot in Fallout 3 where you could visit a lot of vaults and something weird and different was happening in each one.
Yes.
Because each one had its own weird scientific management that were doing different kinds of experiments.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas there's not so much in Fallout 4.
Yeah, they're still there, but they're not as cool as they were in Fallout 3, which is what made them so noticeable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in Fallout 4, the experiment seems to be some kind of cryogenic freezing. So you and your wife and your baby Sean are frozen, and then you wake up about 200 years later. But as you wake up, a mysterious man and a scientist come to your partner's cryotube. They open it up. They try to take your baby away, and your partner's like, "No, I'm not gonna give you the baby." And the mysterious badass man pulls out a huge fucking gun and goes, "Then say goodbye, mama."
That's the
direct quote.
Yeah.
Even if you're playing as the dad, he said, the dad is in the cryotube, he still calls you mama, and then he blows you away. Pow! Yeah, like that, exactly. So you watch your partner die, you watch your baby being kidnapped, and then you're frozen again, and you wake up some indeterminate amount of time later. You don't know what it is, and then gotta go find my son.
Yeah, you're out on the wasteland again. This time, your only objective is I've got to find my son.
I've got to find my son.
Flipping the dynamic from the last one.
Yes, it's almost exactly the same,
but the opposite.
But the opposite. Yeah, which is fine. But it doesn't have the same sense of freedom in that main story that Fallout 3 did. Because in Fallout 3 you were trying to find your dad, but your dad could really be anywhere, which gave you an excuse to explore the world, because he could have been anywhere. But with Fallout 4, the story itself is very direct in how you find him. It's just like you do ba-bum, 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 all right, there he is.
And in between all those places, explore if you want to.
Yeah. But it's a big difference being a child trying to find being an adult child trying to find your parents, and being a parent trying to find what you think is your baby.
Yeah.
Because in the player's mind, Sean is still an infant. So in trying to find Sean, you're like, well, someone's taken my baby into this fucking apocalyptic nightmare.
Yeah.
I need to find them right now.
Sure.
So if you're wasting your time going, oh, I'm just going to go off and help Preston Garvey with his fucking Minutemen bullshit, then you're like, well, you're just gonna leave your infant to the death clause?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Every second doesn't count in this
Yeah,
situation?
because of course it absolutely does.
Yeah.
And you don't have that same freedom of character in the same way as Fallout 3, because the only thing you know about your guy in Fallout 3 is he was born in a vault. And everything about his personality growing up, you've dictated through...
Yeah, it's nice to not just to be told that. You've actually lived it. You know what life was like as a baby in the vault. You know what life was like as whatever, how old you are. Like 10 years later or something, 10-year-old, and then as a teenager. Yeah. So you aren't just told that in backstory.
Yeah. Whereas in Fallout 4, it's, here is your family. You have a son, you have, a husband or a wife, and you were a soldier in the army in the war. Now, as a trained soldier, you are back out in the world and you're trying to find your son.
Which does go some way to explain how your character knows how to use every weapon that he picks up.
That's very true.
Yeah, I remember if there's any weapons... oh no, there is a bit of weapons training in Fallout 3.
You shoot some roaches.
You shoot some roaches with an Uzi underground and somehow that means you can use every weapon.
Yeah.
So they try to sort of quickly just... Yeah, so here's the reason in case you ask the question. Now carry on with the game.
Yeah. But
But then does that kind of imply that your dad, Liam Neeson, is your dad, Liam Neeson?
My dad, Liam Neeson, who is not a racist.
Allegedly. Liam, like he is looking at his son going, one day he's going to have to go out into the wasteland, so I'm going to give him some tools to know how to survive there. Does that imply that he was always planning on leaving at some point, or whatever his research was, which is to be able to purify water for the entire wasteland to make it safe? So he's probably working on that in the vault, and he's some great scientist or whatever, so he must know that at some point he's probably going to have to leave.
Yeah.
And that his son will probably leave to try and find him. Yeah. So he's like, well, if you're going to go out there, here's how you use an Uzi.
Be prepared. Yeah. Well, because the idea is that if you do purify the wasteland, then everyone can leave the vault. So, but that doesn't mean like the death claws are going to go necessarily.
No.
So you still have to be prepared, but re-inhabiting the world is,
dangerous.
It's the aim of what he wants to achieve, but also, so there's your dad. Your dad's actually doing those things to prepare you for the world, and his whole mission is to make the world a better place for you and for your children and for your generation. Yeah.
That's interesting to have such a pure father figure to look up to. I don't remember if there was ever any questions, if the story throws any questions into the player's mind about the dad's actual intentions. Yeah. Like, surely it can't have just been, your dad is this paragon of altruism, and you are, you need to live up to him because he's great. Yeah. There's got to be at some point in the story where they go, maybe he wasn't great.
Yes, it being Bethesda as well. But again, it's 11 years, a long time since I played it. There's got to be like a holotape or something, where your dad's a bit of a dick or something. but yeah, that's kind of the impression I remember coming from the game. Is your dad's generally a pretty good guy. Yeah. Whereas in this one, you go through all of the main story, which is kind of a bit slow and oftentimes a bit boring, and then you find out that your son has been kidnapped by this group called the Institute, and the Institute are basically what's his name from 30 Seconds to Mars? Jared Leto. Jared Leto in Blade Runner.
Oh, right, yeah.
Jared Leto in Blade Runner
2049.
living underground. That's
Yeah.
what the Institute are, basically.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of really over-the-top douchebags who were building robots and then...
Like super sci-fi. It's interesting that the world pre-bombs, and obviously after, because nothing really changes in terms of the aesthetic of the world.
War never
It's
changes.
all... war never changes.
Yeah.
It's all very 50s looking.
Yeah.
And the Institute is meant to be these super advanced technological... super advanced technological people.
Yeah.
They look very much like what sci-fi was imagined as in the 50s.
In the 50s, yeah, that
Yeah.
bright white.
Lots of white, very
Yes.
clean.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're kind of, they keep, in Fallout 4, they keep referencing them as the boogeymen. They're the boogeymen of the wasteland. Like, your family member will disappear for 2 days.
Yeah.
And then they'll come back, but they're actually a robot.
If you are an inhabitant of the wasteland.
Yeah.
The danger is these clandestine scientists who come and steal people and replace them with
Siths.
replicants.
With replicants, yeah.
Replicants.
Yeah. So what do they actually want? Right, and that's kind of that's kind of the plot. And your son was taken by them, by the badass with the big gun named Kellogg.
The cereals man.
Yes, the cereal man. Rice Krispies, cornflakes, Cocoa Pops. What else? Frosties.
That's a good.
I can't think of any Fallout things with a G to start with a G. Wait.
They're ghouls. No, that's
No.
I think we might have bitten off more we can chew here.
Like a bowl of Frosties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
They
Let's
crunch
quietly move away from this failed attempt to comedy.
So they so you find out that Kellogg's cornflakes stole your son, and you go on this big thing with Kellogg. You find him, you track him down. If you're like me, you don't engage him in conversation as you're supposed to do. What you're supposed to do is go in and say, "Where did you take my son? Why did you take my son?"
Yeah, that's what I did. I asked him questions.
Yeah, but that boss fight's really difficult.
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, so often what I do is in the back of the room where he is in, there is also a nuke launcher. So I just go and I get the nuke launcher, and before the conversation, I just shoot him with the nuke launcher before I ever speak to him.
Because the objective says confront Kellogg.
Yes.
And then after you've spoken to him, it says kill Kellogg.
Yes.
So if you just kill him before talking to him, does it change from confront to kill to finished?
Yeah. Because what you do then is you take a bit of his brain.
Yeah, and his gun.
And his gun. Yeah, because his gun is the best fucking gun in the game.
Yeah, well, that's what we talked about off pod, is that because I did so much side questing, by the time I got to Kellogg and killed him and took his gun, it was not any better than the guns I already picked up elsewhere. Whereas I think I might end up starting again and just doing the story again with a new character. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how beneficial that is, because it essentially is a mid-game boss fight. Yeah. Which should have some good loot.
Yes. Yeah. The gun is pretty great. And then you take he's got like something in his brain that you take and you go into his memories, blah, blah, blah. It's a bunch of bullshit. But in his memories, you go through Kellogg's story and you find out that he, like you, was a military guy whose family were taken away from him and killed, and then he ventured out into the wasteland to get revenge, the same as you, and you realize, oh my god, me and Kellogg were the same guy all along. We're both just fathers trying to save our family, but Kellogg never had the chance. And now I do have the chance, so I'll save Sean.
I don't remember that at all.
Well, I played this bit like 2 days ago.
For
this podcast, I binged the main story.
Oh, I'm glad you did.
Yes, and then that's one of the bits. You're walking through his synapses, basically.
Yeah, it's all black apart from like a little corner of a room where a scene happens, and you walk through space to another bit. Is that the right?
Yes,
thing?
that bit.
Because there's a very similar bit in Max Payne. Do you remember Max Payne?
No, I remember it, but I didn't.
The first Max Payne, where you have to there are playable levels in nightmares.
Right.
And it's like that. In dangling space, there are just scenes you have to walk between for exposition. Yeah. But I don't know if it was a programming problem or actually was a challenge in the game. It's kind of like a platformer where you have to walk through space between these scenes that are occurring. But the ledge on which you have to walk is both invisible because it's black. Yeah. But also very narrow, so you can fall off of it and fall through space and die and have to start again. Oh, that was so frustrating.
That sounds frustrating.
Did that so many times.
Yeah.
But this was like one of the first games that had like that kind of Matrix diving through
Yeah,
slow-mo
bullet
time.
Yeah.
So like, you forgive it.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be awesome and like Neo and stuff. Because they never did a good Matrix game.
They didn't. I remember I had the choice between a PS2 with Max Payne or an original Xbox with Enter the Matrix. And they said that the guy in the shop was like, Enter the Matrix is actually shit. Buy Max Payne because it also has bullet time.
Yeah.
And I said, fuck you, I want Enter the Matrix.
Yeah.
And I got Enter the Matrix and it was shit.
I played it for a bit because it's not actually Neo, it's...
Nairobi and...
Nairobi. Nairobi's in Kenya.
Oh,
Yeah, it's Jada Pinkett Smith
Yeah.
and the Asian dude.
yeah, what's that character's name?
Ghost.
Ghost.
Wow.
And then they've got the cool pilot guy, because in their ship, in the Matrix, there's only the three of them.
Yeah.
It's not like the...
Oh, and is it the pilot who ends up being on the Nebuchadnezzar in Matrix
Yeah.
Revelations?
Yeah.
The guy from Oz and
Yeah.
Lost, Michael Perino.
Yeah, sure.
What were we talking about? Max Payne because of the bit in
Because
Fallout.
of the
Okay,
bit in Fallout, yeah.
Yeah.
We're there. So, yes, you find out that the guy who stole your son was really just like you, he was just a badass mercenary the Institute recruited, and then he ended up doing terrible things. But through stealing his brain, you find out how to get into the Institute, and when you get to the Institute, your son is there.
You see little Sean.
You see little Sean.
He's like 10 or something. Isn't
Yeah, and he looks exactly the same as he did in Kellogg's memories. Because while you're exploring Kellogg's brain, you find the memory of him seemingly raising your son after he stole him. There's a whole bunch of memories where Kellogg's with your son.
Yeah.
And he's like, great to see you again, Kellogg. I'll miss you. See you soon. He's like, you motherfucker, he fucking stole you. And my son loves him. But your son's like 10 years old. So you break into the Institute. You find your son. And then your son's a synth. What?
I think right at that moment when that happened, I saved it and turned it off.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, oh! Like, I thought it was a good twist.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, I'm just being very uncivilized
Yeah.
in my gaming career, and that was signposted for miles before, and then for everyone else, I was like, well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
But I saw little Sean in that cage. I'm like, I want to get in. I want to get in. I want to talk to him.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the old fella walked in,
Yeah.
and I was like, it's funny how it's the exact same skin tone as I made my character.
Yeah.
'Cause I had this weird penchant for making my characters ethnic, quote unquote.
Okay.
I never made
like The Rock, is it ethnically ambiguous?
ethnically ambiguous
Yeah.
characters, yeah, mixed race or something, or sometimes straight up like Afro-tastic.
But he's not like Liam Neeson.
Not in the Liam Neeson way, in a like Quentin Tarantino way.
Oh, I don't know if that's any better.
It is.
Okay.
All of Quentin Tarantino's superheroes are black.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So anyway, when I went through all this time making the skin tone of my, this is getting really
No, please.
In the beginning of the game, making my character's skin tone just like a bit brown, a bit yellow, a bit white, whatever. Then the guy walks in, an old man who's got the exact same skin tone and a beard. I'm like,
That's
that's
unlikely.
oh, I see, it's him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so you find out that the 10-year-old Sean is a robot. But the old man who walks in, he's like, what, like late 50s, 60s?
I'd say he's like 60, 70.
Yeah. He's an old man with a beard. And he's like, that's not your son. I'm your son. I'm Sean. And you're like,
No, you're not. That's impossible.
Yeah. So Sean isn't a 10-year-old boy. He's not a baby. He's a full-up megalomaniac evil scientist who's abducting people from the wasteland and replacing them with robots.
Yes.
Yeah. Shyamalan or what?
Yeah, that's some twist.
That is some Shyamalan.
It'd be great if it was like, boom, credits.
Yeah.
What?
That would be the best ending to the game.
That would piss off so many people.
Yeah, it would. So then you have the choice. Your son, he's the bad guy. He's been orchestrating all of that.
Well, is he?
Okay, well let's finish the main story.
Okay, let's go back.
So it turns out that you were kind of released because your son orchestrated your release.
Yeah.
Because you were an old man. So he was an old man, and you want to see if you could test how realistic the robot Sean is, I guess. So the whole reason that young robot Sean was with Kellogg was to give you the clues to get to the Institute.
You mean like gameplay wise, not
Yes.
plot wise?
No, plot-wise. Plot-wise.
You think that they always knew that you would find out from Kellogg that there was a little 10-year-old Sean?
No, because the reason you know that there is to even look for Kellogg is that people have seen Kellogg with a 10-year-old boy in
Right.
Diamond City.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, and the reason they've seen them is because the Institute and Evil Sean gave Kellogg Robot Sean so that people would see him and you would get to put pieces together.
Okay.
It's a conceit in the plot. I'm not saying it's well written. So yeah. Then he's like, "Oh, Dad, I'm old, and you're nothing to me because you're an old world raider killer type.
Yeah.
So let me destroy all of my enemies, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And we'll make a better world together, sort of thing.
Sure, that it gives you that option. Because when it came down to having to sort of make a decision, or having experiences of all of the different factions that you can side with, I kind of, for the purposes of character and plot and role playing, I thought for everything that the protagonist has been through, looking for Sean, I liked a story arc where once he finds Sean, finds out who he is and what he is, that is not as important to him as being with his son.
Yeah.
So when it came to it, and he was saying, "These are our enemies of the Brotherhood, and the Railroad are always getting in the way."
Yeah. What does your guy,
Yeah.
who's been frozen for 30 years, for 300 years,
Yeah.
what the fuck does he know about the Brotherhood and the Railroad and...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I was still feeling an allegiance to family.
Yeah.
But then I was also not thinking, I don't want to just go around and destroy all these people. So for as long as I could, I delayed all of the really aggressive tactics when he was saying, "Why don't you go and sort them out?" I was like, how about I try it a different way?
Yes.
And which I did like about the game is that it wasn't just like you choose who to kill, and that's the only way to progress in the story. That
Yeah.
There was a bit more leeway to it, and you can go off on a mission from Sean at the Institute, arrive at the crux of that mini quest, and still have to make a decision about how to handle it.
Yeah.
Wasn't there some like scientist is holed up, and the Railroad are trying to get hold of him, and so are the synths.
Yes.
And you have to kind of decide
Which way is it going to go?
which way is it going to go, and then you can also still decide whether to actually invite him to the Institute, or just to kill him, or to let him go to the Railroad or something like that. So I still wanted to have some kind of morality involved, even if I thought I was, still wanting to do what Sean was asking me to do.
Yeah.
Because the rest of them were just, as soon as I saw the Brotherhood or got involved with the Brotherhood, I was like, ugh. It's just like totalitarian military state twats. Just because you're big and strong doesn't mean that you're just. And
Yeah, it's kind of a problem with that game is that everyone is annoying.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And there's none of them that you're like, oh, I really like these guys.
I think that's why it was.
And in Fallout 3, the Brotherhood of Steel were just badass.
Yeah.
And they were great. And then in this one, the Brotherhood of Steel, they're more like they used to be in Fallout 1 and 2, where they were just kind of douchebags.
Yeah, they're kind of a feared force in the wasteland because they're so powerful, but their intentions and their MO is still pretty sketchy.
Yeah, that's interesting what you were saying about Sean. And normally I find, because I will always choose a character to role play as, for example, when I'm doing it. So originally, one of the early ones I did was me and my brother played as the Punisher when we were going through. Because we wanted to be a guy, like rather than a guy, because like charisma and stuff is just not that good in this game. Like it used to be the speech was a really important element of the game.
Really influenced.
Yeah. And now in the newer ones, it doesn't really mean anything. So we were like, right, we're going to forget all of that, and we're just going to have a guy that can use every possible weapon in the game.
Yeah, well.
So, yeah. And the game was so easy. We just like obliterated everything in the wasteland.
I do find that a bit annoying when like you can choose to be more of like a rifleman and you level up rifleman, so you're great with like a sniper rifle or bolt action rifle or whatever. And then you're up against something really big and powerful, so you pick up a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
And a rocket launcher, regardless of how good you are with it in terms of statistics and experience points,
It's a rocket launcher.
if you point it at something big and you hit it, that should just do the damage that a rocket launcher does.
Yes, if you're shooting a rocket launcher at a big crab,
Yeah.
the big crab is going to explode.
It should
right?
explode every time, no matter who you are. So if you hit it, you hit it. Well done. But yeah, the annoying thing about this game is if you are leveling up, say, pistols or rifles or even like melee,
Yeah.
you could pick up a rocket launcher, shoot a crab, and the crab's like, You're not very good at that, are you?
Yeah.
You hit me with it, but look at my health bar. It's still-
Yeah. But you weren't leveling up your rockets.
I was not. I've never, even in the Fallout 3, I never really did heavy weapons.
No.
But then you pick up like a Gatling laser or a minigun or whatever, and that could still cut through people fairly well, even if you're not really leveling up.
Yeah,
that's cool that to do it in the roleplay way.
Yeah, but okay. So what I was saying about the Punisher
Yeah,
was that in the whole point of the character of the Punisher is that his family were murdered.
Yeah.
And his whole act is just to get vengeance for that. So that was an interesting way of playing it, was just like brutality the whole way through.
Punishing.
Yeah. But then you find Sean, and Sean is the bad guy of the entire wasteland. And so for me as the Punisher, it was like...
There's a quandary.
Yeah, well, it was just like a combat shotgun by Sean. Situation gone.
So what's that in that moment?
Blew away. Yeah.
And then you got to fight your way out of the Institute.
Yeah. And then that was it. And then you killed Robot Sean as well.
Yeah, well, that's cool that's possible.
Yes.
It was annoying with a lot of Fallout 3, where if they decided that a character was very integral to the plot, they were invincible.
That is a lot in Bethesda games. Maybe that might still have been the case with Sean. In my memory, I blew him away.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that I did. Yeah.
Because it happens in Skyrim though, where there's like I don't know who I was listening. I listened to a podcast, someone talking about Skyrim, and one of the settlements, there's a vendor that is the only person who sells or maybe buys a certain thing for good value.
Yeah.
And the person who was playing said that something went down. Maybe there was a scuffle broke out. People came to kill him, or a dragon came, whatever, and that vendor died. And they never respawned.
Yeah.
So they could never buy or sell a particular thing. They're just gone from the game.
Yeah.
So there is some credence in making certain characters invulnerable, but in the game, I guess with Fallout 4, where you do have to choose, you can make that choice whenever you want, really, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. That was the relationship with Sean is interesting, depending upon whether you believe that family thing or whether. Yeah, how it is that you're perceiving the wasteland going into it.
Yeah.
But then the game just kind of ends after that. You either join Sean or you defeat Sean. It doesn't really matter who it is that you side with, because everyone wants to beat Sean, right?
Yeah.
If you're not Sean, you're going to kill Sean or Sean's going to die.
So how many times have you got to that point where you had to decide?
Oh, well, on every playthrough. I don't think I've ever done one in which I've sided with the Institute.
Oh, really?
I don't think.
So you've done it every other way?
I think so, yeah.
So I've only played it through once, and I sided with the Institute.
Yeah.
Because, again, unlike Fallout 4, where I kind of forgot the main...
3.
Sorry, unlike Fallout 3, I kind of forgot the main story arc, and I was just enjoying running around, enjoying the wasteland. With Fallout 4, I was constantly aware every time my character engaged in dialogue in a story aspect, like trying to find out where Sean was or whatever, and whether he was alive. It very much stuck with me that he was the purpose for my character's journey, and that never left him. And so when it came to, like I say, when it came to the end of the game, and it's like, who are you going to side with? It's like, my character has been generally on the positive side of the non-existent karma system.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a bit of in a strange way, he's a bit of a godlike character in that everyone he meets is like, hey, you're really powerful. Come do, you're really great and you can kill stuff. So go off and kill stuff for us. And I do. But at the end of the day, he's still a bit of a not a sad sack. He's not pathetic, but he is he's a very soulful and emotional person whose entire purpose for living is finding his son. Like, he's not, you can play it like a different roles, like with the Punisher, or when I finished it the first time, I restarted it and I wanted to play as Lilu from The Fifth Element.
Nice.
Who would be a complete altruist and always do the right thing, but be super powerful.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a role besides myself. I was like, if I saw myself in that character, what would I do? Which is interesting in the context of this podcast and trying to figure out how father-son relationships affect us as viewers of movies or TV shows or players in games in this instance. Because with Fallout 4, I very much stuck with that. Like, I know plenty of people do playthroughs where the actual story doesn't really matter, it's just about playing a role.
Yes.
Playing as Frank Castle and what would Frank Castle do in all these situations, or etc, etc, etc. And I think that's probably more of what I was doing in Fallout 3, even though thinking about it now, that story I think is more relatable than one of Fallout 4 because I played it when I was 20, and the clever way that they let you experiencing being a child and literally looking up to your father, because he's a full-grown adult, and also sociologically looking up to your father as this paragon, this super god guy, and that is a more relatable story arc to me than tracing after my son who's been captured. Like I can't really relate to that in any way. But it's funny how, and maybe it's just because of my age when I played them. Like, when did Fallout 4 come out? A few years ago, and I'm in my late 20s or whatever. So that becomes more just a playground game. Whereas this plot of Fallout 3, if they'd switched it, say Fallout. The plot line of Fallout 4 with the gameplay and the graphics and how modern that is was the opposite way around. You were a son looking for his father. And the reason why we started doing this podcast is now I'm finding those stories a lot more powerful. I wonder if this would have been a game that I really connected with, especially in the story mission.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. There is just something about the story that's just... It's just a little bit weak. It just doesn't...
Which one?
In Fallout 4, for me. It doesn't connect with me the same way that the old one did. I don't know if I just have less patience than I used to for it. But Steve, our wonderful producer and all-round best friend, sent me a video of which I can't remember the name, and I can't remember who made it. But Steve will undoubtedly put the link in the description of the show notes or whatever it is they say on the podcast about Fallout 4. So I'm sorry I can't remember to reference the person, but Steve will put it there, saying about alternate endings to the story that would have improved the story. Okay. And the one that the Steve specifically mentioned to me that I really liked was it would have been a stronger revelation for the story if it turns out that you yourself are a synthetic replication of Sean's father.
You are a synthetic replication of Sean's father. So you're not the actual father who woke up 200 years later. You're just made to think that you woke up.
Yeah, and Sean's dad died because everyone in the cryotubes died apart from you.
Yeah.
Right? You were the only one who didn't, which again is kind of ridiculous. But there are about 10 points throughout the game where it would make complete sense for you to be a synth. Everyone in the entire world is going, how do you even know if you're real or if you're a synth? Right? Everyone in the world is saying it constantly.
Their fear amongst
And the whole point of Kellogg as a character is that essentially he raised Sean and he seems to be exactly the same character as you. Right? During that sequence that I was saying about earlier on, where you go through and you realise, oh, me and Kellogg are actually kind of the same. Again, you could just be a synth of Kellogg, like, with his drives and whatever.
So I might be missing something with the Kellogg and your protagonist's relationship. So
the idea is it's like a Batman Joker thing.
Sure, right. But so all those the memories. This is going to sound dumb now. I'll probably just miss something obvious. But the memories that you witnessed that you take out of Kellogg's brain, they aren't Kellogg raising the real life Sean 50 years ago, and he is a synth himself. That's why he looks the same. Those are memories of Kellogg pissing around with the synth Sean in the last however many.
Yes, because they're like recent memories.
They're recent memories.
Yeah,
okay.
But you see Kellogg 20 years ago when he still has hair before he's gone bald, with his wife and child.
And everything that happens to him.
Yeah, and then they get killed, and he goes for vengeance in exactly the same place, almost, as you attacked him.
Right.
So there's a huge mirror that's set up between cornflakes and yourself throughout. So that again leads to the idea of you being a synth, because you could say how Sean took some of the experiences from Kellogg's backstory, right? He crafted your experience as a synth, the experience he wanted you to have, he took from Kellogg's experience. And then the idea is that you are at the end, you are the ultimate progression of Shaun, of the Institute's synth program. Right? He's reached a point with the synths now where they're so lifelike, they're so realistic, that he has put in the human drive of I need to find my son, and you have obliterated half the wasteland to get to
there,
Shaun.
yeah.
And then you get there and he's like, well, you did it. You know, like you are the ultimate in synth, you know. And you could Blade Runner it, like the initial Blade Runner, where it's heavily implied that you are a synth. They never have to actually come outright and say.
Yeah.
But the idea would be that, you know, Shaun set all of this up, based you upon you could even say the pre-war memories are real, but they don't have to be, because the pre-war memories that you have are only what you experience. And as you were saying, it's not like Fallout 3 where you see your entire childhood.
Yeah.
In Fallout 4, the only thing you know about yourself is the wife, the neighborhood, and that's
baby,
it. Yeah, and the baby. So that is an entirely programmable memory, because all it is one street that is still there when you go back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that extra twist or assumption that you yourself are a synth would have added an extra layer onto all of the different parts of the story. I think it would have made the relationship with Shaun more interesting, because you think that you're Shaun's father, but actually you're kind of his son.
Yeah.
But also you're his father. It gives you a stronger bond with the synth robot Shaun, because as a human character, you're like, yeah, but he's just a robot.
Yeah.
Right? What do I care what happens to robot Shaun? But if you are also a synth, then you have that chance to form the actual father-son relationship with the robot. It gives you a stronger tie potentially to the Railroad. It makes you more aggressive to the Brotherhood of Steel, because they want to kill all synths.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of their thing. It's just an extra twist that amplifies the other storytelling elements, I think.
No, I like that. And especially, I do like that. I think that would have been a cool ending. But just to go off on something you just said about how it would amplify how much you don't like the Brotherhood.
Yes.
Playing through the game, and like you said a bit earlier about how none of the factions are actually that interesting or cool. Like, none of them, there's not one standout, which maybe that's intentional. They don't want to go, we don't want to make everyone choose the same one because they're obviously the cool people.
Yeah.
Like, they've all, in trying to make them all a bit balanced, they maybe made them all a bit boring.
Yeah.
But in playing it, I can't see why anyone through desire or affinity would have chosen the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Like, they're just not interesting in any way, and I don't know why anybody would side with them in the finale of the story. I mean, did you ever?
I did with the Punisher, because they were a military institution, and so it made sense for him to join that military institution. But it's like, they're not the good guys. If you want to be the good guy, you join the Railroad.
Yeah, the true altruists.
Yeah. If you want to be like an outsider guy, maybe you even join the Minutemen.
Yeah.
And because they get a cool castle, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But the Brotherhood, they're not the good guys. They're not really the bad guys. They're just kind of the douche guys.
Yeah.
And if you're playing as a douche character, maybe that's what you go for. But
and maybe we're implying. No, I won't lump you in. Maybe I'm implying that if in complete clear conscience you chose the Brotherhood because they were the ones you liked the most, maybe you're a prick.
To be honest, that seems like a pretty good place to round it up, now that we've just insulted half the audience.
Yeah, why not? That's only 6 people.
Yeah, exactly. So, in terms of these father-son relationships,
yes.
Fallout 3, Fallout 4, which one spoke to you the most? I think you've already said.
Yeah, but I think funnily enough now, in researching for this podcast and looking backwards, Fallout 3's story is more affecting to me.
Yes.
Because it is. And I think we've spoken about it in previous podcasts with how I have seen my dad throughout my life. There was most of my life, my dad has been this super heroic figure, this shining light of masculinity, but not in like a
alpha way.
Not in an alpha way, just in this is what a man probably should be.
Yeah.
Big, strong, but kind, selfless, and his intentions are always for the betterment of his kin and his family. He does everything for everybody else. But at the same time, he is imposing, and he has some kind of, I suppose, we use the word masculinity. So I grew up thinking that seems right. That's gone quite well for him, and so I do feel like I have been following him in some way throughout most of my life. And again, part of the reason we started doing this podcast is that maybe coming to terms with the relationships with our dads changing as we get older and seeing them as just regular people. So I think maybe the Fallout 3 story might have tapered off my interest in that he does turn out to be like, the ultimate savior of you're the protagonist, and you go and do all these side quests, kill all the right people and protect all the right people. But at the end of the day, it's your father's innovation that is going to save the wasteland.
Yeah.
So I suppose now I see my father more as he's a bloke. He's a man, and I think he's done a lot of his life the right way. So I do respect him and look up to him in that way, but he's not a genius scientist who's going to save the world.
Right.
Whereas with Fallout 4, I don't know where I am in that story. I don't know who I am. I didn't see myself in the protagonist much. I just made my character action out the decisions that I made as the player.
Yes.
I didn't feel much of a connection to him. And I didn't chase after Sean like I would.
Yeah.
As if he was my own son.
No. I would agree with that, because I think in Fallout 3, the first person that I played as was myself.
Yeah.
Right, the first person I made was me.
Do you find that with role-playing games generally, your first character is
often will just be called Dom.
Yeah.
But in Fallout 4, Dom never even appeared.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's changed the way that as you're saying, the way I play role-playing games, but the character was already so preset in the world.
Fallout 4?
Yeah, in Fallout 4. He already had a family and an existence before the game, that there is no clear imprint for me to go on there, right?
Yeah.
I can't sympathise or see myself in this soldier who's come home from war to be with his family, who was then transported to the future where it's a post-apocalyptic, right? There's a lot of already character layers built upon that. I can roleplay that as, say, the Punisher, or even better, Captain America, as a soldier who comes home from war and then is frozen in time and wakes up to a world that is completely different.
Kind of perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And all you have to do is say, oh, well, his wife was Peggy, and then bam, you've got Captain America, right? Yeah. Which is fine. And then the Institute, you could kind of do either kind of like Hydra-esque, and then the Brotherhood of Steel is kind of, that they have a helicarrier.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this whole thing exists for it to be a Captain America role-playing game, which is great, and I would really enjoy to do that. But it doesn't work for me. I can't put, as you're saying, the character already exists in such a state that I can't plant myself into it the same way as you can. Fallout 3 is a blank slate. Fallout 4 is not a blank slate by the time you get there.
Yeah, by the time you join the story, it's already...
Yeah. I think the best game to compare it to, as me and Steve will do with any game, is The Witcher 3. Do you play The Witcher 3?
No.
It's, without a doubt, the best video game of this console generation. It's absolutely incredible. And that game, it's a fantasy RPG, but you have a preset character called Geralt, who's the character... The Witcher originally comes from a book series. So it's from this Polish book series. Geralt is the hero of this book series. The games continue after the books. And all the characters, the world, everything is pre-established. You play as Geralt. As Geralt, you can make decisions. But the whole story is about Geralt trying to find his daughter. I have never played The Witcher 1. I've never played The Witcher 2. I've never read any of the books. I don't know anything about these characters before I start playing this game.
Yeah.
And I am like, my God, I need to find my daughter. I need to find her so bad. Because that story is focused, it's clear, and it's clean. Whereas Fallout 4, you completely make your character, you change everything about them, you go into the world, you can do absolutely anything, but there is no connection to Sean.
No, or urgency like we talked about before.
Yeah. Whereas in The Witcher, you have no control over anything to do with the characters, except for his armor and his hair, and then some decisions that he makes. But there is a clear, obvious relationship between his children and his actions.
Yeah.
I think you need to go play The Witcher so we could do a podcast about it, because it's the best. It's the best game. Yeah. So I agree with you. Yeah, I think Fallout 3 definitely had a stronger connection. Maybe it's because we're not parents. Maybe if we were parents...
Yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to someone who's played it, who kind of put themselves in the protagonist's shoes and be like, what if my child was taken from me and I had no idea where they were?
And then it turned out that your child was actually producing evil robots. How would that make you feel?
Yeah, how would you make that feel?
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that brings us quite nicely to the end of the conversation there. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so. The only thing I was thinking about just then was talking about how Fallout 3 might benefit from being a clean slate. Your characters comes from a clean slate. Like the RPGs that I really remember really enjoying come from that place, and you can build your character as they age effectively from purity to through all this mess. So like the first Fable game. Yeah, and I was thinking recently about Dragon Age and Dragon Age 2 specifically, which I remember. Do you remember you were playing Dragon Age 2 back at uni, and I really wanted to play it. I thought it looked cool, and you said you can't, and I said why, and you said you haven't played Dragon Age Origins.
Yes.
And I was like, so, and you were like, you have to play Dragon Age Origins first. I was like, fine. So played through Dragon Age Origins, which was okay, and then when the time we got to Dragon Age 2, that game felt better, and the story was better because I played through Dragon Age 1. But a similar kind of thing where I think that's you get more invested in your character if you make every decision.
Yeah.
Not you're coming from a place where you feel like you have some responsibility to the story that's already been written for you.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's the exact reason I prefer Dragon Age Origins to Dragon Age 2. Because in Dragon Age Origins, you would choose your preset or whatever, like whichever one you wanted to do, but then the character was entirely yours. Whereas in Dragon Age 2, they were like, oh, you're Hawke, and Hawke has this brother and this sister and your mother, and you're beholden to this family relationship that the game has already set up. And that was a problem that I had with that one, because, again, it wasn't that well. It's like the illusion of customization, right? It's the illusion of a role-playing experience. And that is a difference between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas in Fallout 3, it is a full role-playing experience.
A whole life,
Yeah. Whereas in Fallout 4, it's the illusion of an experience, but it's still, I have to find my son. Oh, my son is the bad guy.
Yeah.
Oh, like everything is already preset for you, I think.
Yeah. That's an interesting point,
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode of Daddy Issues. What are we going to do next?
We've been talking recently about certain films where I feel a kinship with a father-son relationship, and all of the examples I've come up with recently have involved a certain Hugh Jackman.
A Hugh Jackman.
A huge Jackman.
A huge Jackman.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, the charming star of stage and screen.
Stage and screen, yeah. So when we first started talking about this, I was interested. It brought to mind The End of Real Steel.
Yeah.
Which is not like a classic, but
Hugh Jackman is a robot boxer.
He's a robot boxing coach.
Right.
And he has an estranged son, and they don't get along, and they butt heads, and then there's a redemption at the end. And we talked also about other examples similar to that after I watched Prisoners recently, and then Logan, whereas the last Wolverine movie has a bit of a fathership both ways. He's a son in one relationship and a father in another, so maybe that might be worth talking about.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, then we will see you on the next episode for that. Bye.
Goodbye.